earlier. Well, actually, there's a 38-38 single sideband net every morning, and we wait for them to wrap up before we start up the 38-35. That net goes back a long time. It's kind of an odd frequency, but that's what it is. And my neighbor Joe, M1VIV, he's 5 houses down the street, runs that net. And yeah, it's a good net. It's kind of like the Lonely Guys. It's usually a topic. It's evolved into that. We didn't always have topics, but it's turned into that in the last few years. So, pretty much like the Lonely Guys net. Not quite as big a turnout usually, though. So, good. It's the usual suspects for the most part. It's an AM net. And man, that stuff on the tires. Yeah, my experience with those tire pressure sensors, and I never really had any problems with valve stems. I think they usually come in the valve stems. I remember the first time I encountered that was on the Tacoma when I got my first set of tires, replacement tires. They originally had Dunlops on them, and then I put what are they now? Michelin. They're a Michelin. It's not an off-road tire, but it's a good 3-season tire. And I've actually got them on the Volvo now too, the vehicle version of them. But anyhow, the first time I had those put on, it was about 40,000 miles into the existence of that car. They asked me if I wanted to change the wheel sensor. They said no. And that was probably a good call at that time. I guess they last about 7 years. And it definitely wasn't 7 years when I put that first set of Michelins on. And then I started getting these fault lights. Well, a couple of times those things saved my ass because several times now I picked up a nail up at the landfill. And I've since been very wary about where I go in that landfill, especially they're dumping off construction scrap. That's where you pick them up. People are dropping ripped out sheetrock full of sheetrock nails and stuff like that. It's like a minefield up there. But anyhow, I started getting these fault lights, but it turned out the tire pressure was fine, but they generally, if you lose one of those pressure sensors, because the battery and the internal battery, which is not replaceable, goes dead, you start getting this fault sequence on the light, and it'll stay on. And after a while, you just ignore it. But I did, when I put the second set of Michelins on a couple of years ago, I did have them replace all the wheel sensors, including the spare. The spare has one too. And haven't had any issues with them since. And they've been really, I live without them for most of my life. I just kept use a mechanical pressure gauge, which I still do, and keep an eye on them. But they're tricky. And yeah, I wonder if that was dissimilar metal corrosion where they had an aluminum valve stem, you have steel wheel, and I run into that all the time with hoses. Garden hoses. You get, good hoses with brass fittings, and then you buy a what seems to be an otherwise decent nozzle, but it's made out of pot metal, and if you leave that on over the winter and it just sits and gets wet and corroded, you never get it off again. And I don't know why they do that, but I always try to go for brass if I can, I find it on hoses. That was a crazy game. I just hope they can play today. I don't know what the contingencies are. They're playing on the Abner Doubleday Fields in Boston Spa yesterday. Abner Doubleday has some sort of connection to was allegedly the inventor of baseball. Has some connection to Boston Spa, right down the road from where Kevin lived, and right down the road from where I was when I was in Saratoga for a few years back in the early. The mid-'70s, like I was there 77 to 80 working and living there 77 to 79. Anyhow, K1GMM, AJ1G.
Yeah, wondering where Kevin is. Kevin will probably be popping in. K1GMM. Yeah, no, these monkeys that install these things, they over torque them. Those nuts that go on the metal valve stem, first of all, they should put anti-seize on them. That's the first. I anti-seize everything. Since I've been working on the Jeep for the past 3 months, every bolt that comes out goes back in with anti-seize on it. I've got a Hercules 1,500-pound braking strength impact gun, half-inch impact gun. Thing actually beats the DeWalt's and stuff. I have yet to find a bolt that I can't get out with that thing. It'll break it off, and I'm talking big bolts. But they don't break off. They come out. May take 4 or 5 seconds, but yeah, they'll come out even after 13 years of being in there. So yeah, when they put these valve stems on, first of all, they over torque them, and they don't put anti-seize on the nuts, and they sit on there for 5, 6, 7 years, 10 years. In the wheel, and they won't come out. So you'll try to crack that nut to get that wheel speed sensor out and the valve stem out, and it won't move. And what ends up happening is it spins inside the wheel because there's no teeth on the back. It's just a rubber seal, rubber O-ring, gasket type thing to seal it. And so it'll just spin. So you're screwed. You got to cut the thing off. And it's very tricky because if you have very expensive wheels, you got to be really careful because you'll end up touching the wheel which I did. And then it won't come out. So I had to use a punch with a hammer and drive the freaking thing out. So anyways, enough of that crap. I had a guy pop in this morning on it was a Hotel Sierra something on the All-Star node from Thailand. I've been trying to get Thailand on FTA, and I can't get them. They're in there on 40 meters. Usually around, I don't know, I've seen them around 5 a.m. Something like that. And which is weird because I think it's still daylight over there, but 40 meters has been odd. I've been working 40 meters in daylight, long path. Worked VK yesterday morning, and I have a ham clock running on the G2 on the display, and I can see where gray line is, and yeah, they were in daylight, so not much past daylight. You know what I mean? Or coming into darkness. So, yeah, it was kind of interesting. I was talking to him about it. I said, yeah, I see Thailand down there. I'm decoding them. But boy, I try to hit them and I can't. I could run more power. I usually run 150 watts, 200 watts at the most to get the real long ones. But like East Caledonia and stuff like that, Hawaii, Alaska, Japan, those guys, but a lot of guys are running legal limit, so when I'm not going to do that on FTA. Maybe if I cranked it up to 400 or 500, I'd get them, but that's a tough one to get, dude. I've gotten like Eastern, what is it, Asiatic, what is it, Mongolia, those type of places, but Thailand's a weird one. I just can't seem to get them. Go ahead. Back to you, Chris. K1 GMM.
Yeah, K1 GMM, AJ1G. Yeah, I've heard Thailand back during the winter when the gray line alignment is very good for Japan. I was working. It was daylight here. It was like right before sunset. I would go down to Stonington Point with the mobile and work Japan on 40-meter long path. there was a couple of big mega stations, but there's also a guy who was mobile in Osaka. And we actually worked several times, mobile to mobile. He wasn't running anything special mobile either. You know, same as me, 100 watts and a mobile antenna. I was running a ham stick end or my Webster band spanner on those QSOs, but worked quite a few of them. And there was a guy in Thailand. He had some big station who was routinely in there. And I don't think I ever worked. I didn't catch him. He was on at a slightly different time. And I never was down there to catch him. I probably could have, but and I might have done it once. I can't recall now. But he would come in very well on single sideband too, right down in the 7140-ish end of the band. So it can be done. And it's quite often if I go on CW right now and call CQ on 40 meters from home here or from the mobile, I'll light up reverse. Sometimes, definitely light up. There's a couple of reverse beacon networks nodes in New Zealand and a couple in Australia on Sydney area that I will light up. And I've had QSOs on CW and sideband with Australia on a regular basis. Depending on where you are in Australia, it's not clear whether it's long path or short path. I've worked Australia and Japan. Australia. My first long path contact was on about 4:00 in the afternoon in like February. It used to be VK3 APZ Peter in Perth, Australia, Western Australia. He was there every night for people. He passed away, unfortunately, a few years ago, but he had a monster antenna system. I think it was phase verticals. And I was down in Old Saybrook. I wasn't even on the ocean. I was in a home goods parking lot. I worked him with a hamstick from the Volvo down there. And but I regularly worked Australia short and long path. Usually a short path in the morning and long path in the afternoons. And usually Western Australia on the long path that I would work, and Japan on long path, go down either to Barn Island or boat ramp area or Stonington Point. Usually Barn Island was better. The noise floor is very low down there. And that's not like a mile from the house here. And worked, and I got a straight shot to the southeast, which is the path to Japan, and right over the Watch Hill Light. Watch Hill Light's is great also, but the noise floor is pretty high down there. I don't know if it's, they still have the light, and the Coast Guard must still have some equipment in the building, although it's privately owned now. But the noise floor is pretty high down there. But that's a great spot to operate from. With I park right on top of what I assume is still there. The old non-directional beacon that used to be there on Watch Hill. All the radials are still in the ground underneath the lawn in the parking lot down there at the light. That's pretty interesting and fun. Not a big. I have not. Like I said, I've had I put a new set of sensors in the truck about 2 years ago. And then I imagine a Volvo's getting up there. That's a 2017. So those have been in there 9 years now. So, I'm surprised those haven't given me any grief yet. But they don't give actual, at least the software or whatever I have, the info system I can get on a car. I can't actually read pressures. I can just see that where they're supposed to be. I think I had one. Oh, that's what happened. I must have had a slow leak on one tire. It bit me about a year ago, and I put a new set of Michelins on I had some Japanese brand on the Volvo when I got it, which were I think new at 50,000 before I bought it, and I put the Michelin tires on the Volvo about 2 years ago now. But I did not change the sensors at that point. I'm trying to remember. Maybe I did. I don't know. But at any rate, I haven't had any issues with them. I don't know. I don't know if Kevin's going to show up here. Usually a lot of the guys that show up here on every morning on 3705, they don't come on here on Sundays. They'll go, just wait and check into the prenet for the Lonely Guys on, not the Lonely Guys, the AM carrier net on 3835 at around 7 o'clock. I just happened to be up, and I figured I'd give a shout and see if anyone was down here. K1 GMM AJ1G.
Yeah, Kevin's probably still sleeping. Yeah. Bug up to the. I may shoot up to the AM carrier net. When does that thing? Two questions. Why is it quieter at Barn? Is it because it's kind of isolated down there? There's no houses, nothing really around it. Kind of curious about that. Second, AM carrier. I may shoot up there. When does that officially start? 7?
Prenet starts around 7, or whenever that Breakfast Club net wraps up. It's not always exactly 7, and everyone, we put a reminder every week in the net preamble about make sure they're done before you start tuning up and hanging out and checking in and seeing if anyone's around. It starts at 7:30, and it doesn't last as long as it usually go 2 rounds too. That's the other thing. On the Lonely Guys, it's so friggin' big, we never do more than 1 round. But yeah, it starts about 7:30, and people start showing up a little after 7. And Barn Island is quiet because it's a wildlife reserve. If you go down the road there towards Barn Island, the road goes down to 1 lane, and it crosses over the railroad, the main line there, the Northeast main line, and at that point it's a single aid road. You got a stop sign on either end of the bridge, and then shortly after that there's a couple of houses. And then the town road stops, and it's the access road to the wildlife reserve. And then the road goes down to the boat launch, and there's a couple of pull-off areas if you want to park and hike the trails and stuff like that. But the power, up until about 2 years ago, the power line, there was no power going down there at all, down to the boat launch. But they've since run in a line for a floodlight at the launch, and there's also I didn't know what it was at first. There was a pair of Yagi antennas. One was going to the northeast, and one was going down to the southwest. It's part of a bird tracking network, an East Coast bird tracking network, and they got a node there at Barn Island, and I guess most of that is, they've got a little solar and an inverter. Now there is a little bit of noise down there, but it used to be really dead quiet. If I wanted to listen for SHU on BLF, I'd bring a receiver down there, and it was nothing but static. There was no power line at all. But no, it is generally a very quiet location. And then I've actually put my rims in the water to the point where it affected the tuning of the antenna on the truck. When I'm working log path to Japan and or to Europe, short path from down there, and that didn't really change performance much as far as signal strength, believe it or not. But a lot of times I'll just park right on the ramp, especially in the winter. There's no one around down there, and it's kind of a weird feeling, putting your, it is fairly steep ramp, but I've done it, and so far I haven't gone maritime mobile. K1 GMM AJ1G.
Man, have I got hold on. Man, I just got up not long ago, and I got gooping everywhere. Coming out of my nose. Yeah, gross, huh? That ramp, I saw something. We used to sit there and watch the carnage on that ramp, dude. It was insane, the stuff you'd see. People with new boats doing stupid stuff. And, this one day, my brother and I were down there. We were just having a bagel, and we were sitting there watching the show. It's fun to go down to the boat ramps and just watch people and watch them pulling boats out and putting the boats in water. Huge boat, dude. Big cuddy. Thing must have been, God, 23 to 26 feet. It was big. Tandem trailer. Brand new. Well, the idiot unhooked the boat. It was on a roller bunk set up, unhooked it, and you know what I'm going to say. We watched him back that thing down that ramp, and the freaking boat took off, rolled off the freaking trailer, and landed on the ramp. I don't know how much this thing weighed, probably, oh God, 6,000 pounds probably or more. It was big, dude. Completely landed on the ramp, came right off. Didn't even touch the water. Brand new, right off the showroom floor. We freaking, but it really wasn't funny, but it was. I mean, we were busting a freaking gut laughing. The stuff you see at a boat ramp, dude, is unbelievable. Over.
Yeah, they've made quite. I don't know. Last time you're down there, they made a lot of improvements. It's wide. They got lights. They do have a floating, little dock there. So you could, once you get off, you can pull it onto the ramp and finish loading. I think they might even have two. I'm trying to remember, one on either side. It's a lot better than it used to be. That's for sure. And they got it's double. You can probably do two boats at a time now. And it's all concrete stringers all the way down into the water, but it's a fairly steep angle on that ramp. It gets you a little nervous going, just putting the truck on it nose first. When I'm on 75 meters, I've done some tests in parking lots, and there's definitely about a 4 dB.
What's up, Paul? Good morning. K1 GMM saying hello. Hello, Paul.
Corner. So invariably, if I'm working DX, I'll point the truck in the direction of the direction I'm trying to work to. Not so much on 40, but definitely on 75. So it is kind of it feels, a little. I don't bother putting the wheels in the water anymore because it doesn't make that much difference. And I just would rather not do that. I don't have to. Anyhow, it's a nice situation.
Hey, good morning, Don. How you doing, man? N5SKT.
Might even I don't know. It might be underground. I think it goes underground, maybe a half mile up. So it actually is quiet. What noise I'm hearing? I did hear some. I actually had I made like a beverage on ground to copy SAQ the last time I was down there about a year ago. I think I tried that down there, and I was literally about 20 feet from the base of that telephone pole that held that tracking network up, and I did hear some noise from it. And I ended up running the wire down to the other way on the other side of the ramp towards the southwest. Yeah, good spot though. A friend of mine had a small open cockpit boat that I went out with him a couple times. We launched down there pretty easy. The other place I go a lot is Aquani Breachway, and one of my first really good receptions is at SAQ Christmas Eve. 2 a.m, I went up there. Make sure I had my surf rods on the truck. Who the hell is going to be out there on, and at 2 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Eve? I set a little beverage up, about 250-foot beverage along the pond up to the right of the launch up there at Quani. And I had a super good copy on the SAQ CW transmission on, what are they on, 17.2 kilohertz from up there. That was probably my best one. I used little the curb markers you put out for the snowplow, which are made out of usually they're painted wood or fiberglass. I used those to hold up. It was like a 4-foot high beverage, about 250 feet long, going right in the truck. Worked like a champ. Anyhow, I'm going to get going here. I'm going to head up to. Check on the dog, see if she probably does need to go out. It was weird yesterday. She would not take a poop over here. Took her around. Ended up taking her home. They live on just to the east of the airport over there in Westerly. Took her home and put her radio fence collar back on, and sent her back out the door. Within 30 seconds, she was pooping. So I might have to do that again today. Something about this. She got attacked by. She came over Friday night, and Diane took her out for a walk, and she got attacked by about 3 catbirds. And they were actually pecking on her back, and it traumatized her. I think that may be why she doesn't feel comfortable. And every time I take her out, she's always keeping an eye out of everything, and she never really finds a spot she's comfortable. She'll stop and pee, but she won't do number 2. Probably have to take her back to the house to go take care of that today. K1GMM, AJ1G.
Okay, that's a new one, because I feed the catbirds. They eat grape jelly along with the Orioles, and we got at least a couple pair here. I've never heard of something like that. I thought they're really timid. They won't come around. That's weird, dude. Anyways, I'll let you go. Have a great day if I don't run into you. Caught this on a live stream. It's on my YouTube channel. I'm going to let it run, see if Kevin or anybody else pops in. I may pop up to the Lonely Guys. We'll see you later, man. Have a good day. Thanks for jumping in. AJ1G, K1GMM. Going to run upstairs quick, check the pellet stove, and be back down.
Yeah, okay. Oh, hey, on that subject of catbirds before you go. We used to have the same problem. We had outside cats. They used to attack the cats. I don't know if it's this particular tribe of catbirds in this area. And the other thing, I don't know if it's a catbird or a mockingbird, but we have some. For years they do there's a couple of distinctive calls they make, and one of them it sounds like they're saying wadio, 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 like radio. And the weirdest thing was we were coming back from Florida when I was visiting our son Dave, and we were in Hillsville, North Carolina, just north of Hillsville, Virginia, just north of Charlotte, and just before you cross on 77. Before you drop down into the Charlotte area. And in the morning, before we left, I was putting the luggage back in the Volvo, and I hear a bird, wadio, wadio, wait. It's the exact same call. I wonder if you ever heard a bird do that up at your neck of the woods.
I don't know. There's so many birds. It's like it's absolute pandemonium all the time. That sounds like a Carolina wren. Because a Carolina wren does that. And we have 2 pair nesting in the garage, which are very used to me, and they come easily within a foot of me. I feed them mealworms in a cup on the inside door frame of the garage, and they're having babies. They kind of do this the type thing, and it sounds like what you're talking about. But they have multiple calls, all kinds of different calls, and I hear them up in the woods first thing in the morning. They go out from under the crack of the garage door, so I don't even have to open the garage doors. They go out all by themselves. They got in and out. So all right. Catbird, if it's a catbird, I've never heard them do that. Usually catbirds do this, kind of sounds like a meow. That's why I guess they call them catbirds. They go, that type of thing, and it kind of sounds like a meow, Anyways, amazing in flight. I got to get the pictures on my QRZ page. I got some catbirds I captured in flight, and they are really cool to freeze them in flight. They look like a freaking B-2 bomber, dude. They're like freaking missiles. Really, really cool bird. in flight. Anyways, let me run upstairs. I'll catch up with you maybe in a bit on the carrier K1GMM.
Yeah, okay, Steve. Yeah, I'll have to tune in. I'll have to go look at the website. Be a nice air check listen of the signal. Yeah, I'm on the MXL 770 here. Through the oil processing, the Behringer processing into the grids of the 1625 modulators on the DX100, the usual rig here. Yeah, whatever birds do this radio call, they shift back and forth. And I was trying to figure out whether they were catbirds or mockingbirds. I never thought about Carolina wrens. That's a possibility, I guess. I got to go look up them. Whenever I hear them, they'll do that. I can't see the bird. They're usually up high in the tree doing it, so I can't tell exactly what it is or even where it is. I just can hear it. And I just heard it the other day, as a matter of fact. But I've been hearing that, and it sounds so much like the word radio. It's amazing. All right, and then there's another one. It sounds like they're saying trick or treat, trick or treat. Very similar to that phrasing. Anyhow, all right. I'll see you later. Maybe up on the carrier net, AJ1G. Oh, and yeah, the other morning I took Rosie out. Yesterday morning about 5 o'clock. It was still really dark out, but it was just starting to get light, and it was a cacophony of birds. I'm sure she was going nuts. I just couldn't believe it. It was just like, it sounded like hundreds of them. Maybe because I had her out there and they were all sending off warning signals. Who knows? See you later, AJ1G.
Yeah, see you, K1GMM. And I'll be back in 10 to 15, K1GMM. Putner and Park. All right, you guys, I'll be right back. I'm going to go up, check the pellet stove, get some more coffee, and I may pop up to the net. OE3TWB. This is AM. We're doing some AM this morning. And yes, I do have some processing running on the receive. Sorry about that. Bumped the microphone. Run some noise reduction on the receive side. It's a system I put together. Very, very quiet. And boost the... works on the audio, boosts the audio radically, makes it sound like it's 60 over, so with no noise. Pretty cool stuff. I'll be right back, guys. Hang out if you want to. Kevin may pop in. I'll be back in a few minutes, and if he's not here, geez, it's after 7. He should be here. So maybe he won't. I'll pop up to the carrier net, pre-net. Check in there. See you in a bit.
AB3HT, Sailorsburg, Pennsylvania. Hello, CQ. Hello, CQ. Good morning, AM phone. AB3HT in Sailorsburg says good morning on a very rainy Memorial Day weekend. Now listening. CQ, CQ, hello, CQ. Good morning, AM phone. AB3HT, Sailorsburg, Pennsylvania.
guess Kevin isn't around. So, I'm going to go up to the AM carrier net.
Your first girl. The first time you did the nasty. That's not actually a bad one either, you know. What were the circumstances? Back of a car? Were you under the boardwalk? Were you under the bleachers? Were you in your own bedroom? Were you in her bedroom? Where were you? And then if you really want, no, you couldn't do it. And then what did you do? No, you can't do that. But I don't know if anybody would want to hear that. But do you remember your old girlfriend? Do you remember the first? Do you remember the first time you did the nasty? And do you keep in touch with her now? Did you marry her? I think that would be a good one. Anyway, let's see. Anybody else checking in? N2LJO.
Yeah, good morning, George. N1VIV.
Good morning. Good morning. Very short list so far this morning. I don't know if everybody's. It's raining. It's been raining since yesterday. And Bill, I meant to tell you, it's raining here too again all day. Very short list, surprising with the weather, but maybe people are sleeping in. I don't know. Let me know. It's really just myself, Jeff, Chet, and Bill, WF1L.
K1GMM.
Yeah, okay. Well, I slept right through my alarm, George. Let me see what time it is. I'm barely awake. I'm going to need to slow it down and get it from you one more time. So N2LJO WA2RAS. So it was N2LJO WA2RAS. And then was it Chet and Bill?
Yeah, N1GIC and WF1L, and now you got Steve checking in. Good morning, Steve. K1GMM.
Hey, good morning, George and everybody. K1GMM, Southwest Vermont.
Okay, I think I got it. 2LJO, WA2RAS, N1GIC, WF1L, down there in Dover. And Steve, I'm going to have to make a note of that. K1GMM, excellent. Yeah, I hear Steve on the morning show on 3705. Occasionally, I listen up there quite a bit in the mornings. I never mentioned that to you, George, but I'm looking forward to joining that group at some point when I get my extra behind me. But in any case, really nice signal there, Steve. So I'm not sure. I was just coming into the conversation about the topic, and I don't know. It sounds like it might have been developing to maybe first girlfriends, but maybe something beyond that.
No, that was a joke. Jeff was saying, do you remember your first contact, your CW or phone contact? And for some people it might only be phone. And then I was joking around saying, well, first I said that you and I had talked about doing the whole barbecue, what you cook, on weekends like Memorial Day, if you do that. And, but, that's not written in stone. And then I was joking around saying, how about, do you remember your first girlfriend? Do you remember the first time you did the nasty? Where were you? Were you under the boardwalk, under the bleachers, in the back seat of your car, in your own bedroom, in her bedroom? And do you still talk to her? Maybe you married her. But that was all tongue-in-cheek.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. That brings back kind of vivid memories. Yeah, what I was saying, WA2RAS was, on this date.
He's got the most horrible audio of anybody I've ever heard.
It was the first
God.
CW contact, if you will. Well, it was actually I take that back.
He's got like over 40 radios, and they're all boat anchors. They're all old.
Remember the message, what hath God wrought, or
I can't listen to him. It's brutal.
in recognition of that, what was your first
Test.
CW contact, or your first phone contact?
Sure, my levels are okay.
If you went that way. Over to you.
And he's not that far away, and he's got like the worst signal of anybody.
One NFE.
Yeah, we got Arnie in there, K1 NFE. Yeah, that's interesting, Jeff. I wouldn't mind going with that. I do remember, I think I still have my logbook around somewhere. I was so anxious to write the first contact into that. Yeah, that's interesting. I'd be fine with that. Man, I must have needed the sleep because I woke up like a bolt, bolted out of bed at 7:03, saying like, oh crap, because I get up every day between 6 and 6:15. I have a series of alarms that wake me up. Man, I slept right through them all. So yeah, I'm okay with that topic if others are okay with it.
We should also, add in what George was saying about what are you cooking, if you're cooking, are you cooking for Memorial Day? It could be a two-for-one thing.
I'm not even going to listen to him. Jeez.
Yeah, your audio sounds pretty distinct, Jeff. It's a slight bit muffled, but yeah, we can combine those two. I'm fine with that. I'm good with most anything, so I think that's fine. What's the rig that you're running there, Jeff?
Okay. Yeah. What happened was my sonar 80, one of them, developed the case of the flu, and so I had to pull that out of the shack, which left an opening for something out of the bullpen. So this rig, which I haven't used in a couple of years, came in as a pinch radio.
He's got distortion. He's muffled.
This is an Icon 746, Joe.
Just doesn't know how to set up the audio on his rigs.
Really good on it. Okay, back to you, Joe.
Yeah, okay, well, the band seems quiet, so very good. And I apologize. We got about 4 minutes here, and George, I don't know, had you already spun it around for pre-net comments? I'm sorry, I was kind of monopolizing here.
Yeah, the only one is Steve has not had pre-net comments. If you want to let him take a turn real quick, and I hope you're hearing me all right. I'm out in the garage this morning, and I'm on my Valiant. So hopefully, now I don't know why something's going on with this transmitter. My power dipped down. I don't know if you're hearing me okay. It's a little late for me to start switching over to another transmitter right now.
Yeah, I'm hearing you just fine. The audio sounds slightly different, but maybe just slightly more restricted, but sounds great. Yeah, so I'll flip it up to Steve, and then we do have Arnie in here too. So K1GMM, you have any pre-net comments, and then you can send it back to me and we'll get things rolling. Again, my name is Joe, Juliet Oscar Echo. I'm located in Stonington, Connecticut, and I don't know if we've ever spoke before, but if we have, I apologize that I'm not remembering. K1GMM, this is N1VIV.
Hey, good morning, Joe. K1GMM. No comment. The only question I have is, I'm a little confused. What did you guys settle on for topic?
Yeah, well, I'm going to start up the net and call up the net in about 3 minutes, but I think we were going to do a combination of, what was your first contact on ham radio, and do you remember it, and is it documented maybe anywhere? And then we were going to combine topics a little bit, and if you're cooking, if you're having a family gathering or anything like that for Memorial Day, what do you like to, or for any summertime holiday, what do you like to cook on the barbecue? What's your favorite barbecue stuff? So I'm sure there's plenty of things there. But anyway, back to you, Steve.
Okay. Cool beans. All right. If you want to send it over to Arnie, you can get a pre-net comment or whatever. Good morning, Arnie, Joe, Jeff, and George. I think I got them all. N1GIC. I'm not sure who that is, but I'll figure it out. Good morning, all. K1GMM.
A1SOV. Port 1.
Yeah, good morning, Pete. WA1 SOV. Portable 1 from Cape Cod. Excellent. Good to hear you, Pete. And we've got just about a minute left, so I guess I'm going to hold it at this point and sip another cup of coffee here and try to get myself together. Get a little more woke up. But we do have, got you in here, Arnie, and I've got you in here, Pete, for sure. And we're good to go. The group's growing a little bit anyway, and we'll go from there. But Steve, you had an excellent signal and excellent audio. So whatever you're running there sounds very good. And it is 7:30, so I guess we'll get things rolling. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the AM Carrier Net. My name is Joe. My call is N1VIV, and I'm located in Stonington, Connecticut. The AM Carrier Net meets every Sunday morning at 7:30 local time here on 3835 on the 75-meter band. AM Carrier Net was established for the purpose of promoting and enjoying operations in the AM mode. It's a casual net, so there's no requirement for check-in other than being able to operate AM. We certainly like to hear from folks who are just beginning to explore interest in operating AM, so all are welcome. Want to just make a quick comment to say that we do have a net that precedes this net called the 3838 Breakfast Club, of course, on the frequency of 3838. And we would just ask that anybody interested in participating in this net hold off on any tuning up or pre-net activities until we confirm that net has concluded. They usually wrap up around 7 or 10 after 7 or something like that. And so we've had good cross-net, cross-mode relationships with those folks for the past couple of years. So we want to try to keep that going.
Don.
And let's see, I don't think I have any other.
Excuse me, guys. Don, yeah, it's a challenge. The key is to get your ALC up high enough without clipping. And I always push mine. Of course, I'm running SDRs. I push mine right to 0 dB. Usually run around -2 and just bumping 0 dB, but on conventional rigs like a K4 or whatever. I'm not sure about a K4. Is that an SDR? If it's digital, then yeah, you want to you don't want to go over 0 dB, but just bump it if you can.
Start to vanish, but they seem pretty good right now, so I apologize for the yawn. I just woke right up out of bed, made coffee, and came down here. So didn't get a chance to wake up or take a shower or anything. Let's see if there's any additional check-ins for the net. Please call now. This is N1VIV.
W1TKO, Mike in Wilton, New Hampshire.
Yeah, okay, Mike, we've got you. W1TKO, excellent. Sounding good down here this morning. Nice strong signal. Excellent. Let's see. Any other check-ins? Okay, nothing else heard. So if there's other stations just getting to the switch, so to speak, don't hesitate to check in during round one, and we'll work in here at the bottom of the list as we go. And so I'll tee things up, and then we'll run down the topic. I'll make some comments, and we'll get things going. So pens and pencils at the ready. Here's the rundown for round one. I'll get things started with some comments, and then I'm going to send it to George. N2LJO. N2LJO would send it to Jeff. WA2RAS. WA2RAS would send it to N1GIC. And N1GIC will send it to Bill. WF1L. Down there in Dover. WF1L would send it to Steve, K1GMM. And K1GMM would send it to Arnie, K1NFE. K1NFE would send it to Pete, WA1SOV, Portable 1 out there on Cape Cod.
Yeah, it is complex. It is complex.
WA1SOV would send it to Bill, KD1SH. KD1SH would send it up to Mike, W1TKO. Mike, if there's additional check-ins, we're going to tack them in after you, and if not, we can bring it back up to the top of the list to me for a go at round two. I suppose if folks want to let me know during their round one transmission, if you're able to stay for round two, that's always helpful, but not required.
Hey, morning,
And,
JPX. Sorry I missed you in there.
We'll go from there. So there's a rundown for round one. So yeah, we're going to do, I guess, what we call blended or merged topic for this morning. Jeff had suggested, I think it was some time ago, probably more than 150 years ago, probably more, maybe even longer. Today was the first telegraph transmission by Samuel Morse using the Morse code. I guess in recognition of that, the question would be, do you remember your first contact? Was it a CW contact, or was it, on FM, or, and what was that all about, and how does that fit into, do you have record of it somewhere or something like that? I have my old logbook here somewhere. I'm not sure. And then George had suggested as a topic a few weeks ago, but I think it's a good one. We could touch on it. If you're having a company this weekend for Memorial Day, tomorrow, or at any time during the summer holiday season, what do you like to cook on the barbecue? Are there favorites that you like to cook? So, and do you have any recipes? So,
yeah, once you get it running and settled, Don, the G2, Am-Anan, it's very reliable. My G2 always just starts up right where I left off. Really, really good. The new Thetis stuff is really good. This is 2.10.3.13. Let's see, protocol 2, 4.2.26. So that's the version I'm on, and I've settled on it, and I ain't touching it because it just runs like a champ. Everything does. Very stable. But yeah, getting it set up properly it can be a challenge, especially the audio.
An inverted L operating clandestine. I don't know how clandestine I was. I was causing trouble for people all around the neighborhood, I think. From a clandestine shack in the basement of my apartment house. So it was like a 5-unit house, and I was huddled in the basement operating CW. It was quite an adventure. And my first contact was, I believe it was a guy. I can't remember if it was either a VE. I believe it was VE. VE1 BBC. So it was very interesting that he had the BBC in his suffix. I believe he was somewhere in eastern Canada there. And so that made it kind of interesting and unique. It was on 80 meter CW, and I was so nervous. I heard the guy calling CQ, and I answered his call, and I barely was able to tap out enough to exchange a signal, report. We didn't have any type of conversation. I did let the guy know it was my first contact, and that was really exciting and interesting. And after that, I probably logged a couple of other contacts later that day, once the ice was broken. But my first contact was a CW contact. One of the things that I enjoy is I've had a handful of experiences where I have been someone else's first contact, usually on single sideband, and that's very interesting as well. To be somebody who's just newly minted ham, got their authorization from the FCC, either mail or email, however they do it these days, and then they're coming on saying like, "Hey, this is my first contact." That's always a lot of fun to see that too. And so, on the other topic regarding grilling on the grill, I keep it simple. I do. My wife and I have done a lot of different things as far as barbecue goes, but I don't have like a slow cooking kind of situation or any kind of smoker or anything like that to do real, brisket or ribs or anything like that. But I do enjoy that, eating that. In fact, I'm active in a local sportsman club here. Past couple of years, we had done a real traditional barbecue, and we had this guy set up with a real a barbecue rig that did just amazing ribs. Yeah, they were really, really good. And so I do enjoy that fare very much. But keeping it simple, if I'm going to do something on the grill, I really just enjoy a good handful of Hebrew National hot dogs with fresh chopped onions and some Gouldens mustard. Man, there is nothing better. If you put that next to a nice cold, it can't be warm, it's got to be an ice cold serving of coleslaw, man, oh man. But it's got to have the very finely chopped fresh yellow onion, on top, and it has to have the Gouldens mustard. Without that,
my God, this guy's going to do like a 15, 20
so
minute
that's my 2 cents. That's what I would do if I was doing some kind of simple thing on the grill. It'd be hot dogs, but that would with all the fixins, so to speak. And there's nothing better than a good piece of barbecue chicken. So I'm
going to go make some iced coffee
from time to time as well. So let's get it moving on and down the list. Over to you, George. N2LJO and the AM carrier net. I'm making myself hungry here. This is N1VIV.
All right, N1VIV and the AM carrier net, N2LJO. If I crap out and disappear, it's this Valiant. It's only dipping. It won't dip, no matter how I load it, it won't dip at more than 200. But I got plenty of grid drive, so it might be one of the finals. Might have let go. As soon as I get off the net, I'm going to open her up, and I always start with testing the tubes. But anyway, it appears to be stable. It's lower power, but stable. So I'll try to be quick, though. Red onion, Joe, red onion, but that's me. So I'm going to do the barbecue stuff first. The menu here at Chez LJO, were you so fortunate enough to attend the barbecue here? I kind of stole it from my best friend's family from years ago, from being there. Oh, so many days for a barbecue, and it was usually the same every time, and it was great every time. We'd start with a ring of the thin Italian cheese and parsley sausage, and then a healthy number of chicken wings that were seasoned in one way or another, usually brushed with some type of good sauce. And burgers and dogs, of course, but now I came up with a way to make a cheeseburger. You got to put the cheese on both sides of the bun, not just on top, and not on top of the burger so it melts on the grill. Put it on the bun and put it on the top and the bottom of the bun. And man, that's good eating. Weisswurst is a German veal sausage, also called Whitewurst, and with crunchy new sauerkraut and diced raw red onion and mustard, of course, really good horseradish mustard. What else? Let's see. Oh, the beans. Okay. My best friend's mother, my Irish mother, Mrs. McCabe, would take the regular Campbell's pork and beans, but she would start first sauteing onion. First she would cook bacon in the bottom of the pot. Then she would take the bacon out and saute onion in the bacon grease. Then throw the beans in, stir it all together, and then break up the bacon and throw that into the beans. And that was really good. And what I've taken to doing sometimes in later years is sprinkling the top of the bowl of baked beans with raw red diced red onion, which is also very good. So after all of that, there would be some dessert, which would feature a nice pot of espresso coffee, and one of my favorite desserts would be strawberry shortcake. And that's about it on that. So we probably keep it the same almost every time. Anyway, on to the other topic. My first voice contacts, which were as a technician, there was no no-code license. So my first voice contacts were limited to VHF, UHF, and 10 meters. And I did made sure I worked my Elmer Mark KA2QFX first, ahead of anybody, because he was the one that gave me that little push. He ran into me on 11 meters, and I was using ham gear, a Ranger 2 and a Hamelin receiver on 11 meters, and we got to talking and everything. You're using freaking ham gear, get your goddamn ham license. And I did. So by the time my ticket came in the mail, we had become friends. I had his phone number and everything. I called him up and said, got my ticket, get on the radio. Now, my first CW contact, I actually just pulled the QSL card off of the wall, and it was on 40 meters. The writing on the front of the card has faded from 36 years of light exposure, but I'm sure I have it in my logbook. Gentleman's call was N7IOK. His name was Clyde Sakir, S-A-K-I-R. I looked him up. He's a silent key. But what he wrote me on the back of the card is still legible, and he wrote, "A fine business pleasure to be your number one QSO, young man. Here's hoping they will all be as pleasant and rewarding. Wish I could help you set up your first station. It's a fun part of Hammond, helping a novice get started. 7-3 and good luck, Clyde." And that was from approximately September, October of 1990, and that was on 40 meters, whatever portion of the band, I guess, well, the CW portion down the bottom, and I'm sure I have it in my logbook, but the writing on the front of the card is kind of faded out. But I still have this card from that gentleman, my first 40-meter contact. So Samuel Morse, I took a tour of Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn and actually went to Samuel Morse's grave, had an HP heated up with the CW ID from the repeater, bop, 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 bop. And that was kind of fun, and that's about it. That's about all I've got. So remember, Joe, red onion, and put the cheese on both sides of the burger. WA2, oh, it goes to Jeff out there in Island Park. WA2, RAS and the AM carrier net. N2LJO.
Okay, very good. N2LJO. This is WA2RAS. Very interesting. My first contact. This is one of the most exciting moments of my life. I was a novice in Brooklyn. The area is called Homecrest. George would know. And I had didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have much of an Elmer. So I had a 40-meter antenna lying on the roof. Not over the roof, on the roof. And I was using the wrong coax. It must have been about 1 million ohms. I didn't have a relay. I had a night switch that I used for the relay. And I called CQ for, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes straight, over and over and over again. And I was using a rig that I had built, it was just, I really didn't think that anybody was hearing me. And then that magic moment came. I heard my call coming back. Obviously not on the same frequency. This was crystal controlled for a novice back then. And it was a station, again, I was in Brooklyn, and it was a station in Brighton Beach, which was about a mile or so away from me. And, my heart just jumped out of my chest, became an N. But back then it was a V. It was WV to Whiskey Victor 2 JSG. And one of the greatest moments. I was so happy. I know all that went into getting on the air. And I was, I didn't again have much of an Elmer, but that was a thrill. By the way, the first message was on this date in first telegraph message by which was sent by Morse. Was on May 24th, 1844, and it was from he was in the U.S. Capitol in Washington, and it was sent to, they had a special wire set up, and it was sent to his partner, Alfred Vail, who was 38 miles away in Baltimore, and the message was, I could give it to you in code, but anyway, what hath God wrought? That was the first message, the first telegraph message, obviously.
Yeah, I've got the audio on this guy turned way down. He's
I've long since stopped barbecuing, but I am good at eating barbecue. Haven't given that up, and so I look forward to that. As long as there's somebody else doing the cooking, but everything you make sounds delicious. So anyway, I turn it over to Mr. Chet. Here it comes, Chet.
Yeah, I'm not going to crack everything open to hear this guy. His audio is a complete waste. So we'll skip over him.
Thank you very much. Hope everybody can hear me. This is November 1 Golf India Charlie.
There we go.
Happy Sunday morning to you.
Now
Happy
that's a
Memorial
signal.
Day weekend. Thank you to all the veterans that are here and listening. And may God rest the souls of those who are not as fortunate to be here. May God also bless those who are now serving, our men and women now serving in the armed services. So there's a Memorial Day weekend speech from me. Yeah. And barbecue, grilled chicken, grilled sweet sausage, and maybe some grilled vegetables like pepper, onions, and stuff for a sausage and sausage sandwich, I guess, with veggies. And let's see, what else? Yeah, the grilled chicken. Love the grilled chicken breast, especially seasoned, like some have discussed. Definitely. The double cheeseburger. Well, that's something. That's new for me. Twice the cheese. Well, you know, put it on. Well, I guess, yeah, better distribution, top and bottom, rather than putting two pieces on top just to get two pieces of cheese in there. But, yeah, you know, I'll bet that has a different culinary, let's say, palate delight, tasting it that way versus the standard, or has been for up till now, way of making cheeseburgers.
Yeah, most of these guys.
Although there have been some times when the cheese ended up on the bottom anyway.
Have great audio.
Whoops. But in that case, that's it for me. And I'm all done. I won't be around here for the second round. Boy, it's getting rough. W1, WF1L, Whiskey Foxtrot 1 Lima. This is N1 GIC. Over to you. Over.
EKG.
Yeah, I heard Ross in there. I got you, Ross. Yep, I picked up Ross. I've got him. Let me make sure I've got it first.
Hey, morning, Bill. Bill, what the flip? I've been wanting to jump up there and say good morning to you or good evening, mostly in the morning, if that's okay, up on 999. So let me know if that's okay. Don't know if you're in there in the morning, Bill. So let me know. Miss you, buddy. Yeah, Texas to Vermont at this hour. Probably not going to happen on this band. I don't know who this is. This guy is. Okay. Yeah, I want to check in, see how your woodworking's going, dude. Boy, he's weak. Holy crap. He needs some go-go juice. Maybe at night, Don, Texas to Vermont might be possible, running a little bit of power. Yeah, I hope everything's going well, Bill. Very, very busy here. I've been working on a Jeep for the past 3 months, pretty much every day. I got a problem with a head unit, just popped up yesterday. So I got to get out there in the rain. The cover's on the Jeep. It's got no top. So, and it's freezing. It's supposed to be like 47 for a high or something like that. So I gotta go out and deal with that. It's always something, dude. but I've been doing a lot of four-wheeling, and I can't copy him. Yeah, make sure they can handle a full duty cycle before you start whacking those amps. Some amps can't do that. Like my AL80A, not a good idea to throw a 200 watt carrier into that thing and key it down for an extended period of time. Hey Chris, what's up, dude? Okay, it's my turn coming up, but I'm gonna have to wait for his carrier to drop. Yeah, it's supposed to be 40, gusting to 40 today. That's why I'm not going out in the woods. I don't need a freaking tree falling on me. There's trees down on the trails all the time. Excuse the snorting and coughing. Sinuses are jacked. It was freezing yesterday. I went out jeeping. Did a couple trails about 40 minutes away from the house. Okay, we'll see you later, Bill. You take care, buddy. Again, nice to see you in here. And we will catch up soon, I promise. Have a great day. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. What the frick? This guy's going to do a 15-minute freaking over, and I can't hear him. Oh, that'll do it. Is that an RF2K or something like that? Oh, yeah, that'll handle it. And both the Mercury will handle it, too. Oh, an expert, 2KFA. Yeah, I don't know anything about those, but I'm sure that'll do it too. AM, you know, if you could run, 150, 200 watt carrier, key down, continuous, reliably, that's plenty. I think I'm running about a 250 watt carrier, maybe 300, because it's a net and I want everybody to hear me. Modulating to about 1200 watts. Oh my, still going. Really? Flippin' heck, man. Come on. Really? To answer two simple questions. I don't understand. Yes, it is iced coffee, Paul. Yummy. It's Nescafe, believe it or not. Instant iced coffee. It is freaking awesome. Awesome. You fill a cup with ice. So usually I grind it in a Ninja. Okay, I think he finished. I had zero audio, and was that Bill? Joe, is Joe finished, and does it come to me?
Yeah, that was Bill WF1L. I was able to copy him here direct. I was really going into the noise, but I was able to copy him. But yes, he's done. Take it away, Steve.
Okay, yeah, it must be distance or something like that. But no, that is a no-go for me. Sorry, Bill, if you can hear me. And good morning. Good morning, everybody. K1GMM. Start my exploding egg timer. I'm not going to do a frickin' 10-minute over. If people can't hear me, what's the point? Let's see. First contact, have no idea. Licensed in 2015, upgraded to general in 16 and extra in 17. And wish I could have done it all in one shot. Anyways, that's besides the point, not part of the question. Let's see. Barbecue. Favorite for guests. The biggest and best results I have had and comments and enjoyment have been on a bullet smoker, and I do an applewood smoked chicken breast, and I usually buy big chicken breasts, prep them with an injection, and let them sit overnight, and they go on a bullet smoker for about 2 hours. Sometimes I finish just to top them off in the oven. Depends on how ambitious I am. With applewood. And I put that over homemade Alfredo sauce and linguine. Yeah. That's money, baby. And you can cut that chicken with a freaking spoon. It is so good. Yeah, so that's my favorite one. Other one is just traditional. Somebody mentioned hot dogs. I love hot dogs, bratwurst, true bratwurst, and nothing like a big juicy slab of dead cow on the grill. There is nothing that compete with that. All right, we're moving on. And by the way, Mike, W1TKO, massive signal dude in here. I'm over between Manchester and Rutland, Vermont, and you just blew my doors in when you checked in. Great to hear you. Super fun to listen to. Looking forward to it. Arnie, take it away. K1GMM.
Well, thank you, Steve. K1GMM in the group. K1NFE, Burlington, Connecticut. Good morning to everyone. Joe, I will be one and done. We're often headed out to church, but today we're headed off to a wedding quite a ways away.
Yeah, buzzard's an understatement.
Probably a little bit over an hour drive. I'm on my Yaesu 3000 this morning, relatively low power. Apologize for those that may not hear me so well, but we're kind of in a little bit of a rush today. We've got a lot of things to do and a bit of a drive ahead of us. And unfortunately, not the best day for a wedding either. Well, it's part of a deal that we're going to be bringing with us today. Well, I was licensed in January of 1960. I think quite a bit before a lot of the fellas here on frequency. And the novice at that point was a 1-year limited license, and you could run only 75 watts, and it was crystal controlled. You did not have the ability to use a VFO. So my first contact was a station in W4 land, and the deal was I had a homemade transmitter that I built on a cigar box. It had 2 tubes, a 6V6 in the final, a crystal, and a transformer, and a long wire antenna. And you called TQ for what seemed like an eternity. And I had an old national receiver that you would tune the novice band in hopes of somebody calling you. And I threw most of my logbooks away, but I kept the first one. but unfortunately it is stored in a spot that's not really particularly easy to get at this morning. But I will dig it out another time and refresh my memory on the call. So those were the days when I was KN1 NFE, January of 1960, with my novice. Shortly afterwards, because I had a one-year window, I upgraded to the general license, and then shortly after to the advanced license, and then a few years later, finally the extra license. So it took a little bit of a doing, and those were the days when you had to have the code speed up to 5:15, and then I think 20. I forget what the advance was, if it was 15 or 20. I think it might have been 20. But anyway, it was fun. I was rather proficient with Morse code at that time, haven't used it in years. So I hope everybody copied me fairly well. If they low power here with the gauge. Over to you, barbecue. Well, we are just the two people here in the family. We're often invited, although not this year, for a barbecue. If we do something here at home, we'll usually put some chicken on the grill, or my wife and I trade over at Sue Leonard's. We'll get a tenderloin, and they'll cut it up, and we'll put a couple of steaks on the grill with a glass of red wine. Fits perfectly for our appetite. So over to Pete, WA1, I believe it was Sugar Oscar Victor. I hope I copied it correctly. So Pete, you pick it up. K1 NFE Burlington.
Okay, Arnie. I think it's K1 NFE WA1 SOV. And the net this morning. Good morning to all. Pardon the RF feedback here. Oh man, I seem to have some RF in the audio equipment. This is WA1 SOV Portable 1 in Cape Cod. We're just running the T368 here. About 300 watts to the wire. Band is starting to go the other way. I wasn't able to hear Bill. Arnie, I'm just barely copying you here on the Cape. But, you know, it's summertime conditions starting to come in here. Anyway, my first contact was a CW contact, much like you, I think, that on 75 watt novice class in 1969 on 15 meters. I was really thrilled with that, working Sweden. The second contact was Buenos Aires, Argentina, on CW, 75 watts, and was a multi-band dipole that I had for 80 and 40, and of course the 40 meter tripled up to 21 megs. So we were able to operate 75, 40, and 80, 40, and 15 meters in those days under the novice regulations. Anyway, good evening to you, Joe, Steve, Bill, George, everybody on the net, and hopefully everybody's hearing this thing. I'm not hearing too well. I'm listening on an SX25, and unfortunately, this receiver is a little bit deaf for too much internal noise. But I've got an R390 here, which I want to get paired up with this radio. I just haven't done it yet. Need to get it hooked up. Anyway, Bill, over to you. Good signal in here this morning. KD1SH. And the What is this net? The AM carrier net, WA1SOZ, Portable 1 Cape Cod.
Okay, Pete, very good. Very good on everything. KD1SH up here in the quiet corner of Connecticut where it's kind of drizzly and rainy, and that's fine with me. Good day to spend inside. Pete, excellent audio over here. You get a little bit of ringing there in the audio, but otherwise than that, boy, that T368 sounds very, very good. An excellent sounding rig. Good morning, everybody. Happy Memorial Day. And as others have said, keep in mind the meaning of the holiday. Certainly do over here. As far as barbecue outdoor events, we haven't had anything like that here for probably since sometime in the 80s. My wife isn't really much into having guests here on the property, and we haven't had guests here inside or outside the house for probably 30 years. We did a couple times back in the 80s, shortly after we were married, had some small family barbecue events over here, burgers and hot dogs and stuff like that. But it's been many years, so nothing like that going on over here, and very likely nothing like that will ever happen over here. I do love a good ribeye steak. I've made a few outside on the grill just for my wife and myself. But I've got an indoor grill, kind of like a George Foreman, but it's a Cuisinart that does very, very fine ribeye steaks, and that's one of my favorite weekend meals is a nice juicy ribeye steak on my little electric grill made inside. My wife isn't much for sitting outside in the summer months, getting eaten by mosquitoes and all that. So if I did have any kind of a barbecue outside, she would be preferring to eat it inside. So that's it for that. No barbecue activity or celebrations going on over here. I do have memories of when I was a kid at my parents' house. My father one time got himself a big rotisserie outdoor grill, the kind we had an electric rotisserie on it, and he got a great big duck, and he roasted that duck inside that enclosed grill with a rotisserie. And boy, that was one of the best things I ever had. Boy, that duck on the rotisserie was fantastic. Tons and tons of grease. The duck is very, very oily, but boy, that was very, very good. As far as first contacts, I've never been much for keeping logs. Any logs that I keep are usually just scribbled on a piece of scrap paper and never preserved or anything like that. So I don't remember anything about my first contact. Actually, I was big on 11 meters way back in the 70s, and I probably remember more of my notable contacts on that band than I do notable first contacts on the amateur bands. I started off on the amateur band on 2 meters, mostly 2 meter sideband, but a little bit of repeater work. So my first contact on the amateur bands more than likely would have been on 2 meters, and very likely on 2 meter sideband. A year or two after I got into amateur radio, I was licensed back in 1993, and never was a novice or a tech or a general. I went to advanced at the first sitting, and about a year or two after I got on to 2 meter sideband, I went up on my tower and I put up an end-fed sloper, essentially an end-fed half-wave sloper on my tower, and made one very brief contact on 40 meters, and I can't even remember now, or maybe it was 80. I think it would have been 40 meters, and it was very brief because the group that I unfortunately ran across was a rather rude, foul-mouthed, crusty group of people that very quickly made it known that they didn't want me there on their frequency, and accompanied by by rude jokes about my audio quality and my signal, and I was pretty much told to get lost. And I went up on the tower the next day with a pair of wire clippers and clipped off that sloper, and did not return to HF for decades after that. I went back to 2 meters and 432 and all that, and stayed there. And that was pretty much the end of that. But I wouldn't remember the calls or the frequency or anything like that. So never much for keeping rods. Anyway, that's it for me, Joe. I will be in here for round 2. Excellent rainy morning to hang around on the fine business AM carrier net. So over to Mike, W1TKO. Good morning from KD1SH.
KD1SH and the AM carrier net from Mike, W1TKO in Wilton, New Hampshire. Very good. Hearing everyone quite well for the most part. And thank you, Steve, for the nice comments. I'm running about 100 watts of carrier here, I think. And yes, things seem to be okay. And on the topics, Memorial Day, we don't do too much special for it. When my son was in Scouts, we would be in the parade, the Memorial Day parade, and the remembrance events and such. But now that he's older and out of Scouts, we just kind of relax and have a quiet day for the most part. So no real barbecue plans. Don't do that too much, but just going to enjoy the day. On the topic of Morse code, this was kind of funny. I worked at a job over in Salem, New Hampshire, and one of my coworkers, his name was Stephen Vale, and the name Vale is associated with Morse code because, as Stephen said, his great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, great-uncle, I don't know, was the co-inventor of the Morse Vale code, and very, very prominently mentioning his relative's part in the invention of that code, or the optimization of that code, which he didn't really get credit for. So that was kind of interesting point when I brought that up years ago just by accident. And then in terms of contacts, first contact, mine was on HF. Well, my first HF contact was just a random person down in Florida, a buddy of mine from our local makerspace in Nashville called Make It Labs, came over to my house kind of in the Elmer role. With his bow and arrow, shot up a string over the trees and hauled up a 20-meter dipole and said, "Here you go, you're on the air." And so my first contact was a random person in Florida. First international contact was a guy in Northern Ireland, and my third contact, which is logged in my QRZ page, is Her Majesty the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. My third contact on a QRP rig, 5 watts, was a special event station from the grounds of Windsor Castle, and commemorating Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee. That was quite the pile-up. It was going on for days and days, and 5 watts people around the world were trying to get in. I barely squeaked in at the end when things calmed down a bit, so that was quite fun. So that's the situation here, and I'm going to have a nice quiet day and head into the makerspace this evening and work on some probably battery projects for field day. That's the plan. So I know Ross came in after me, and I don't think there's anyone else before Ross, so I will send it over to Ross. I just wrote down EKG. I forgot your prefix, Ross. I apologize. Take it away from Mike, W1TKO, Wilton, New Hampshire. I'll be around for round 2.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Ross would have been hearing you, Mike. You sound great down here. Gangbusters. Really nice signal. So let's give Ross a try. If you're near the switch there, Ross, take it away. W1EKG. This is N1VIV.
Okay, good morning, everybody. And a somber and hopefully uneventful Memorial Day to everybody. Barbecue. I have a gas grill.
I don't know.
And I also have a little coal-fired hibachi. I prefer cooking on the hibachi.
I don't know if it sounds like he's on an SDR or he's on one hell of a modified
And my favorite things to cook
boat anchor.
fish, which I don't do very often.
Got to be an SDR.
Steak tips, hamburgers,
Probably an Anan.
and to a lesser extent, chicken. We eat chicken about 6 nights a week around here.
You
So I'm
can't
not
beat an
really
Anan
with
on
that.
AM. They're
But,
just
when I make,
absolutely
burgers,
wicked.
I have
The
quarter
Sun
that I make
SDR isn't bad running Artemis.
Meat magic,
It's
wine, and
very, very close to the
figure
Anan.
eight,
I love the
barbecue
Sun.
sauce.
I'm on the Anan
And
G2
I
this morning.
kind of marinate the burgers in that for a while before I cook them. And the family seems to like them. I seem to like them. But, and I didn't quite catch the question about contact. What was your first contact? Get me up to date on that, Joe.
Yeah, that was it. What was your first contact once you were licensed?
Well, my first contact, of course, was on 2 meters. And I don't remember exactly who first one, but one of the first ones was with a guy that I knew in elementary school who lived in the area. Unfortunately, he has passed away since that happened back in 2007. But my first memorable contact on AM, anyways, was with a special event station down in New Jersey. Talked to Kerry, KC2 UFU, who some of you may or may not know. And the special event station was W1A, I think, W2A might have been, it was an Armstrong event, and they were actually using the Armstrong FM tower down, I think, in the Palisades there, someplace.
Yeah, Flexes sound great too on AM. W2 SDR runs a Flex. What is it? 8600 or something? I don't know, something like that. It's a big flagship rig, along with their amplifier and tuner.
Yeah, that was my first memorable contact. Of course, there's been numerous other ones. And I had a contact one time shortly after I got the WNKG call sign. And I was on the 2-meter repeater, and I threw out my call sign. And this old voice came back to me and said, John, is that you? And I said, no, this isn't Jack, but my call sign was owned by a guy named Jack Glennon in Braintree decades ago. He passed away probably in the 1970s. And I said, no, but I know who you're talking about. The guy told me he was 92 years old. Never heard him on the air again, but it was kind of a spooky kind of a contact. I guess that's about it. I'll send it back to you, and I will be up around 2.
WA1MYQ.
They have it together, Don. I think. Well,
Yeah,
I don't
okay,
know.
Ross, and I think either somebody was checking in or was looking to make a comment. It was kind of light there, but let me
I don't know.
see.
Like
Was
I
that
said,
somebody
my
checking in?
G2 is rock solid,
Yep,
man.
this is
She's running like a champ.
WA1MYQ. I'm not sure. Can anybody hear that station? I cannot copy him.
Wow, yeah, I'm just not getting out today. I'm doing the 150 watts WA1MYQ.
Joe, that's Scott, WA1MYQ.
Yeah, just conditions between us right now that aren't too good, but you came up a little bit, Scott, where I was able to hear you that last transmission, WA1MYQ. Okay, we've got you in here, and going to get it right over to you. And might just be conditions starting to slip away here, but let me just check and see. Any other check-ins for the AM carrier net, please call now. Okay, nothing else heard there, so let's get it over to you, Scott, and give it a try. I know Bill was hearing you. I was beginning to hear you better on that last transmission, so let's give it a go. WA1MYQ in the AM carrier net. This is N1VIV.
All right, this is WA1MYQ. Not really sure what the deal is with the conditions, but in any case, a little late this morning. I slept in, so I won't not be heard too well. I won't make it long. I vividly remember my first QSO. I guess everybody does. My first contact after being licensed. I didn't really talk on the air much before that, nor should you, but it was hard for me to resist jumping in and saying a hello or something to Tim from back in Claremont, where I live with my mother and father. And but the first contact was CW, and I was WN1MYQ, and it was, I still have the QSL card here on the wall. It was WN3MII, Whiskey Nancy 3 Mike India. I haven't looked up to see if that call is in some form still on the air or still in that location or anything like that. Black Eddy, Pennsylvania. The next day, I looked up exactly how far it was away, because I didn't have the internet then. I calculated how far away it was from my place, so it was quite something. I was in college then. I was a freshman in college, going for a degree in industrial electronics that I eventually got. So that would be all of it. I did have some QSOs after that. And I remember that my Elmer, one of my Elmers, the fellow that gave me my test for novice, I was over visiting him after I'd gotten the license, and we're just
Paul,
talking
we'll
about
see you
being
later.
in Newham.
Have a great day,
and
buddy.
I said, the other night there was somebody making fun of me on the air. He says, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, he called me an old man, but he knew that I was not an old man, and he must have been making fun of me for how much I didn't know about things like signal reports and stuff. I was pretty green at that point."
Yeah, I've heard that, Don, about Anan. Now I understand what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't buy new radios except for the Sun. I bought the Sun new. I shouldn't say that. I bought the Sun new, the FTDX. No, the 857D and the 7300. Right when it first came out. I've had both of those radios since I got licensed. 2016. All right, Don, you have a good day. Yeah, it'd be nice if they could. I would never put a deposit on a new radio. That's just me. I just would never do that. I want them in production, on the shelf. I'll pay for it. They send it to me. I don't understand people who wait on equipment. That's just me. I would never, ever, ever do that, no matter how little the deposit is. So, anyways, just me. We'll catch you all later, or catch you later, Don. Have a great day, man. Happy Memorial Day. Nice to see you in here, buddy.
But for the most part, that transmission was okay. So good to hear you in here this morning, and you were making it. So that's excellent. Well, that's bringing us to the end of the list so far, at least. But let's just see, just in case. Any other stations wishing to check in, please call now. This is N1VIV. Yeah, I'm still hearing you, Arnie. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm just about ready to wrap it up. But I'm wondering, like I said, running very low power, about 30 watts with the Yezus. How are you hearing me? What kind of a signal report would you give me? Go ahead.
Yeah, you're fully readable at this moment, but I know that there is a lot of QSB. I'd say you're about an S6, S7. You know, you're above the noise level here, but not by much.
Okay, just curious. Got so many things to do this morning. I didn't get up to pick on the more and the Valiant, but we'll be here next week with that, with much more power. Have a wonderful day. And a safe holiday. We'll look for somebody else. Sorry, N1VIV. Okay, one in the world.
Yeah, okay, Arnie, no trouble. Well, you were building just a little bit there during that last transmission up to about an S8 or so. And, you're making it. So that's what counts for sure. Excellent. Very good. Well, have a good day, and thanks for joining us for sure. Let me just give another check just in case. Any other check-ins for the net, please call now. Okay, nothing heard. So, let's see. We'll make a go at round 2. I've got a bunch of notes. A handful of folks probably I know are not going to stay, but we'll check just in case. And handful of folks I do have checked out, so we'll figure it out and just do station by station control for round 2. Well, good comments all the way around. I got to say, trying to remember who it was with the smoked chicken recipe. I think that was Steve on the smoker for a couple of hours and serving it over some kind of homemade Alfredo or something. Goodness, that sounds really, really good. Yeah, if you can cook chicken breast like that and, really, not need anything more than a fork, and I think you referenced cutting it with a spoon, that's, you're doing something right there. That's for sure. And if it wasn't Steve, I apologize if it was somebody else. But, boy, good stuff. Sure. And for whatever reason, George, I hear you on the red onion, but I still go toward more of either a yellow onion or like a Vidalia onion, but finely chopped and sprinkled across the top of the hot dog. But I hear you on the red onion. It must be a little bit of a different iteration of the same idea. And I gotta say, there's nothing better. Even if you don't have anything else to put on the hot dog, you have to have Gould's mustard. Of course, I'll live with French's yellow mustard.
That chicken, that smoked chicken, Applewood smoked chicken over homemade fettuccine Alfredo. Good Lord. That is just unbelievable stuff. It is something that you would pay like $50 a plate for in a friggin' high-end restaurant or more. It is unbelievable, and it's so easy to do. Really, all you need is an injector. Use some apple cider and some seasoning. Put it in the injector. Inject the breast meat. Let it sit overnight. Throw it on the smoker at about 250, 300 degrees. 250 probably. You don't want it too hot because it'll cook too quick, and then just slowly smoke it over a 2-hour period. Man, that's freaking money. Yeah, it's God, I haven't had that in like a few years. I'm gonna have to do that this summer once it warms up. Freaking freezing here. What the hell happened here? Somebody slid way off frequency. Or he's on upper side. This looks like somebody on upper sideband. That's weird.
Okay, George. Into LJO. Then one VIV. Yeah, very good. Yes. I'm hearing you on the FT101 just fine. No problem at all. You're making it. Probably about 10 over 9 or so. So, excellent. Hope you have a nice Memorial Day weekend. Best of your weekend. And, of course, thanks to everyone, Ross and Bill and others. I was just a little not awake enough at the top of the net there to acknowledge the remembrance of Memorial Day. And, of course, that's super important to keep in mind those who sacrificed everything for us to maintain. You know, can you imagine the multiple different scenarios of what would have happened if people hadn't stepped up, even right from the the revolution on through to, the modern era. It's always complicated and convoluted, but those sacrifices have maintained, our existence as a nation, and that's an important thing to recognize, that's for sure. Jeff usually doesn't stay for round 2, but I'll give it a try just in case. WA2RAS and the AM carrying at N1VIV. Yeah, I heard you in there, Chris. I think Jeff might be in there, but very light.
Come on, move it along. Oh, radio.
George, you in there and Jeff in there?
I don't even hear carrier on sideband.
Okay, thanks. I thought I heard some audio in there, and I thought maybe with conditions it might have been him, but no. Okay. So we've got Chris checking in. AJ1G, excellent. Get it right over to you, Chris. So I don't know if you've been listening, but we kind of did a dual topic of, what do you like to barbecue on the grill?
Okay, I got to back out, guys. I'm going to go ahead and shut down.
Rainy one. Boy, it's really kind of wet and miserable out there today. And let's see. And what was your first contact when you were first licensed? That was kind of our topic. So let me get it over to you, Chris. AJ1G and the AM carrier net. This is N1VIV.
I got to check out, Joe. This is K1GMM. I got to head upstairs. 7-3 all, K1GMM.
Yeah, okay, Steve. Great to have you aboard today. Thanks for checking in. Please join us whenever you can, Sunday mornings, and look forward to hearing you on again. It was a pleasure having you on. So have a great rest of your Sunday. Excellent. We've got a check mark there. Okay, very good. Yeah, so over to you, Chris. We'll work you in here. This is N1VIV.
Yeah, okay, Joe. Let me make sure I'm tuned up.
Okay, guys, we will see you later. Thanks for jumping into the chat, keeping me company, and hope you enjoyed the carrier net. Kind of cool. I think this is the first time I've ever checked in here, so probably check in again, but I'm only going to go one. This is going to go a long time. It's already, what time is it? It is, wow, 29. So, yeah, I got to get upstairs, take care of the pellet stove. So, see you all later.